Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to another week of incredible and intense racing action in the iRacing official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT, as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing, and proudly powered by none other than CONSPIT. Here we are today then for another strength-fulfilled race. It is week 8 of the 2026 Season 1 campaign, and we have continued our time in Italy. Last time out we were at Monza, the magnificent classical power circuit, and we have made our way southeastwards by the best part of 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on your rate of travel, to a circuit that was once just as rapid, if not even faster, Monza, but in the modern era it has been slowed down due to safety reasons, but it is now a very technical test of ability. We're here at the Autodromo International Enzo E. Dino Ferrari, but you all know and love it and normally refer to it as the Imola Circuit in reference to the local city. A circuit which has been the scene of much drama over its extensive history, but also much racing glory. And here today, will we see drama, will we see glory, or a mix of both? Well, that's what we're here to find out from our regular strength-fulfilled race broadcast, brought to you from the Saturday time slot at 20:45 Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, or Universal Coordinated Time, UTC. And as all the drivers get ready to go racing today, well, we'll be seeing them take to the circuit for 15 laps of racing action, with the race due to get underway in approximately 3.5 minutes time. But as our drivers get set here, we welcome you to this broadcast, and we say hello to a number of you in the YouTube chat. Indeed, don't be shy, and we'll get into first place in the chat is none other than RP Corp, and indeed leading the chat into turn 1 Mayhem, and well, hello to RP Corp once again, and we also say hello there to Camshaft 5934. He says, let's go. Indeed, let's go, good sir or madam. I hope you're doing well as well. I hope you're all doing well today as you catch this broadcast on YouTube at Paul Walsh Productions. In the quantity booth, you have myself. My name is Paul Walsh, and I will bring you all your strength-filled racing action for this season. But without further ado, let's get to it and quickly recap the story coming into this week of racing. Because as we can see, we continue to make our way around the world, and we were at Monza last time out on the 31st of January. There at Monza, what exactly did we get to see? Well, firstly, much like the thumbnail showed you in the build-up to this broadcast, we got to see all the drivers safely make the way through the opening corner there. But who exactly were your winners and who were perhaps your losers? Well, your winner was none other than Nicolai Melder, who fought hard at the very start of the race all the way through to the finish, taking pole position by 0.2 of a second up Alan Rask, and in the end he absolutely went all in to defend for the win versus none other than Daniel Sanchez, who got involved in the fight for second place, and in the end it was a battle between the two, with Melder just holding on and Daniel Sanchez having to settle for second after starting in 5th. Meanwhile in 3rd place it was Arnaud Mas, who in the end fought hard with Alan Rask, but found himself moving forward as Rask got ejected down the order, and that was how your podium stood. But as we make our way to Imola today, there is the risk of rain, a 25% chance. Will we see it materialise? We'll have to wait and see. And after today, we're making our way back to the US of A for the Daytona International Speedway and in Sebring on the 14th and 21st of February respectively. So we've got some absolute big hitters here around the globe, which we're racing out over the course of this season. But as we talk about this season, let's talk a little bit about the standings as well. And what we can see is that after what has been now 7 weeks of racing in our Division 1 standings, is Oscar Bernson who leads on 593 points to the 492 of Nicolai Melder. 101 points is the gap, and Oscar Bernson right now holding at the very top. Melder, however, is growing quick as he's now leapt into second ahead of Alan Rask by the best part of 92 points, and then Rask right now under threat from the field behind. He has Joel Marquardt in at 4th place, the 384 points there, keeping him ahead of only 16 points behind Aaron Jones, and then it's Isaac Phelps, Hayden Omamasi, Igor Koz, Liam McNeely and Lucas Tapak, who complete your top 10 there in the Division 1 standings. But coming into the present, what's our circuit today looking like? Here it is then, in full splendour, the Grand Prix layout of the Autodromo International Enzo E. Dino Ferrari, 3.05 miles in length of 4.9 kilometres, depending on your preference of units, but what always stays the same is the number of corners. 17 of them, many of them captured in chicanes, including Tamburello, Villeneuve, and also Variante Alta. But as our drivers make their way around here, they'll find it's all about rapid-fire direction change and being able to exit these chicane sequence corners and get a good run on the straight that leads them to the next corner or corner sequence. We've also got hairpins, including Tosa at turn number 7, the uphill hairpin, and we've also got the downhill braking zone for the double apex hairpin, or Ravazza at turns 14 and 15. So there's something to be loved at this circuit for everybody, but who exactly is going to find the best love here? That is going to be the challenge in Italy. As for the rules, before we go racing, as always, you are looking at the open setup variant of the iRacing official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT, where our drivers bring a setup of their choosing to each and every race session. session. The grid will be set via a closed qualifying session, which is gradually coming to a close. We'll come back to that shortly, with the race commencing via a standing start as an edition of Porsche Cup racing. Drivers shall receive a drive-through penalty if they accumulate 17 more instant points, and should they get to 25, they will be disqualified. But we haven't seen that so far this season, as my memory goes, and hopefully we won't see that at all over the course of this season. But without further ado, what we want to see is racing action, so let's head back to it, as our drivers right now are getting their final qualifying laps in, and when we do see their Eric Trinklebeck making his way to a park up, and we also see their Brandon Villegas doing the same, who, however, has not parked up yet, who perhaps has not got all their laps in. And we do have Coleman Mihai, as he makes his way onwards, and our strength of field for this is 4,223. One of our lowest strength of fields for this season, but to be fair, we can't have high ones every step of the way. What we can see is them oscillate up and down. It gives an opportunity for plenty of fresh faces to make the way onto the grid, and that's always going to lead to a degree of excitement here, as we do bring out your licenses. Your iRacing licenses, I should say, and well, we can see the whole eclectic mix of drivers, with the highest rated driver taking the number one, being the man who's looking to start in fourth place at the moment, and that is none other than Adrian Breuer. And well, the second of our drivers there will be Alex Pleva. He's back on the grid once again in the number two, a very colourful livery number two today. However, 12th place is the best he's going to be able to achieve in the Nesquik machine right now. That's a bit of a surprise, and could there be some more surprises in store? As meanwhile, at the other end of our 24 drivers who've made the way onto the grid, we do have here Damir Makhmutov. He's currently sat in 20th place, just ahead of Sergei Vinikov, and also John Bailiff, who wraps up those with a valid lap to their name, and yet to achieve a lap, well, it's Peyton Long and also Michael Frey. Both of those drivers right now, we're starting from the very back of the field at this rate of our 12 rows, and we're fighting here at Imola is not going to be easy. This is definitely a circuit whereby overtaking opportunities are normally quite rare, and you have to really fight for them in order to make them happen, rather than being able to just take them straight away. But again, all the drivers will know that. They've been racing here all week in preparation for racing this weekend, and we look forward to seeing what they're going to exactly be able to do, as we do see our Duckham's livery machine of Damir Makhmutov see itself out of qualifying, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to make our way to the grid and see how all the drivers line up for a one and only race, 15 laps of it coming right up. And so as all our drivers make the way onto the grid, this is the line up for the Week 8 Strength of Field race here in the 2026 Season 1 iRacing Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. In pole position at Imola, it is Gabriel Solomon, the Danish driver, just ahead of Giorgio Saggio, and in the Britain being followed up by the combination pair there from Germany of Eric Trinklebeck and Adrian Breuer. Your highest rated driver in this lobby is then followed up by one of your lesser rated drivers there, number 13 of Janos Spitzel, the Austrian driver, then being followed up by, well, in fact, it's no Amel Kikanovic, I should say, in 5th, and then we do have his fellow Austrian countryman of what is Janos Spitzel starting in 6th. Behind them on row number 4, it is going to be Elias Fanoli, the Swede for Ice Cold Racing powered by Maxim Racing. He's back once again, and he's in the company of Michael Martins. Then on row number 5, starting in 9th, it's going to be Tom Blandinho, the Briton being joined there to complete the top 10 by Josef Kurz. Kurz is back, and meanwhile, just outside that top 10, starting in 11th, it is going to be Yavo Kostov, the German driver, who's in the company there of the Czechia driver of core team, Alex Pleva. Then we do have Daniel Sanchez and Coleman Mihai. They make up what is your 7th row of the grid, and behind the remaining will then be the American of Tang Mai and none other than Brandon Villegas. And then we do have from the Colombian driver, it will be Yanis Hahn and Christian Carlson. And then completing that top 20, it is going to be Luis Muller-Herfaf and Damir Makhmutov. Outside that top 20, not to be forgotten about on your final 2 rows, it'll be Sergei Vinikov, the Finn being followed up there by John Bailiff for Winner of Bennett Racing, and then we will have Peyton Long from the United States of America and Michael Frey from Switzerland, completing the starting order without a valid lap set. So therefore, it's not worked out for some, it's worked out for others, but of course, qualifying is just a lap. Meanwhile, in the race, when we go green flag, it is 15 of them. And well, as all our drivers wait to go racing, we're very eager to see them all go. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe it is going to be time for the lights. So the revs rise, lights go on, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5. And it's light turn, away we go as our drivers roar the way away from the start-finish line. And as they do, it's a good start there from Gabriel Solomon as they roar the way towards turn number 2. Tamburello awaits. Heavy braking here, but ABS will offset it as they all make the way into that heavy braking zone. Who exactly is going to be the big hero into the braking zone? Well, it looks like everyone's safely through at the moment, going into Tamburello, but it's the first part as we do have a yellow flag. Oh, cars off the road there. That's going to be Elias Fanoni. He's been ejected out onto the gravel. Another car rejoining, and couldn't quite see that was the car goes spinning across the road, and that is going to be Yavo Kotsov there. who goes on through, and well, as those drivers all get it wrong, so many others get it right, but we have got slowdown penalties of several drivers at the front of the field, including for none other than Gabriel Solomon, and also there for Imola Circuit. But as Circuit right now makes his way up to speed, coming out of Toast the Hairpin, he's going to split the field at the front here, with your top three already walking away. But as we can see further back, we do have Tom Blandino and Common Mahai. They're fighting side by side here. Oh, elbows out there, and in the end, it's going to be Blandino holding on, as meanwhile, cutting to the inside. Let's go to Brandon Villegas, who quickly realises, well, you don't cut to the inside that Piriton and mount the curb, as he's now going to be passed around the outside here, is he? No, he's not. Alice Plaver there tries to go for it. He loses out, and Christian Carlson dives up the inside there for Sim Racing Norway and makes a lovely move to take the place there for Plaver. You don't normally fight too wide through Aqua Minerale because it's so narrow through there, but you show you can. As meanwhile, Damien Makhmutov, he may have had a difficult qualifying session starting 20th, but he's making a move here for 11th place, and he moves up the inside for the Auto Chicane, and right now Alice Plaver is losing places left, right and centre. It's almost as if somebody's absolutely kicked him down the order there, and he's trying to arrest the declining form as they come down the hill through 13. And that's going to be Müller Hafaf getting ahead. And here comes Vinikov as well. Vinikov's going on through. They're all absolutely bullying the next quick machine. And then it's going to be Tang Mai up the inside as well. I don't believe it right now. I've never in my history of broadcasting seen a driver get absolutely knocked down the order like that, where they haven't really made a mistake other than be on one wrong line. And when it goes to show you, Imola make one mistake before what is Aqua Minerale, and you're losing places all the way to the end of the lap. As they roar the way onto lap number 2. Here is your leader, Gabriel Solomon, ahead of Giorgio Seggio and Adrian Ruhr. That is going to be your top 3. Then coming through Tamburello now, it's Imola Circuit ahead of Michael Martins. That's your top 5. And then Josef Kerr sits in 6th, ahead of Tom Blandino in 7th. Behind the Altitude 3M Esports machine will be Common Mihai in 8th, ahead of Brandon Villegas and Christian Carlson, with Makhmutov right now being best to the rest in the length, just ahead of Müller Hafaf. Further back down the order, we've got plenty of fighting going on. The winner of Bayonet Racing Machine, the John Bailiff, has made some great progress, as your number 15 drives already up from 22nd to 17th, and behind him, my good lord, that's 2 by 2 by 2 here. Calm it down, guys. This isn't a formation lap, and as they make their way out of the corner right now, well, Peyton Long will take the place there for Yanis Hahn, but they're all squabbling and fighting hard. Elias Finoli, of course, was the man who started much further up the order. He's been ejected down the order. He's going to look up the inside there versus what will be Kotsov, and as they come out of the recorder, well, he's going to make it work. He's now up into 20th place with Eric Trinkelbach, meanwhile, right at the back of the group, and then we've got Janos Spitzel and Michael Fry trying to catch up, as meanwhile, 2 wide here. Trinkelbach balanced side by side, and Kotsov there as well. They're still going side by side as they head up towards the Auto Chicane. This might be the fight for 21st, but my goodness, they're going to be first to be on camera right now as they come into the Auto Chicane, and in the end, the number 9 is on the inside to the outside. They make contact, and as they come on out right now, Trinkelbach right now still fighting. Kotsov as well still fighting with him. They are refusing to budge, and as they come down for return number 13 here, well, this is going to end up one way or the other. It's going to end up with fireworks, or it's going to end up in drama, and in the end, the number 4 does squeeze ahead as then Spitzel gets in the back of them, back up the inside. My good lord, that's daring. They're both going to go to the gravel there, and in the end, well, Kotsov does elbow out his rival, and I think Trinkelbach there will not be too pleased about that. And here comes Spitzel, here comes Fry. They're going to push each other along the start-finish straight right now, and well, this is getting very personal between all these drivers, but it looks as though Spitzel and Fry are working together. I think Michael Fry is saying to him, let's go, we want to be clear of the man behind us, and well, as he then looks up the inside, they've worked together, and now he's going to make the move, and in the end, there's a small touch, but it will be the number 13 who takes the place at 21st, as Bill Michael Fry's turn, they cover return number 3, he goes spinning around his race, goes to the very back. But there's no time for breathing here, because we can see John Bailiff right now under pressure here to try and pass his way past Tang Mai, who right now the American driver falling backwards there, as being Elias Finoli all over the back of him. Finoli looking to go around the outside here in the Ice Cold Racing Machine. That's the blue and white car with Ice Cold on the side of it. As they come out of the Tosa hairpin, we can see there Spitzel already on the back of this, so is Yanis Hahn. They are all pushing each other along, and will fight him further up the road. This is Daniel Sanchez, keeping Alice Plaver behind us. Plaver's been put down to 15th now. Sanchez found his way through, and well, he's just trying to hold on now for dear life, because Plaver wants the places back, and I think he's a bit furious about that. But then we do come back to what is that fight further behind them, the fight for 16th through to 21st, and all these drivers are on a long line at the moment, albeit I don't imagine it's going to stay in the line for some time, because of the simple reason here, somebody's going to want to make a move, and when they do, it's going to cause this whole field to shuffle as Bailiff looks up the inside, contact between the two, it says my round, Bailiff's connected as well, and they all go out wide, they're trying to take a race of action, and in Finoli's into the barrier again, and Elias Finoli right now, he's going to be fuming there, thinking to himself, what do I have to do to get a lucky break? And well, the answer is not what he's been doing, but I don't know what else he can do at this point. But meanwhile, it's Peyton Long and what is Yavor Kostov make their way down into the braking zone here. The number 11 of Peyton Long defending hard. And right now, Kostov here under pressure as he's tapped on the rear there by Trinkleback. And I think they're Trinkleback saying to him, remember me from earlier. And well, we don't encourage it, ladies and gentlemen, but understand to be a bit of a rivalry between two drivers there. And well, I think both of them might be having words after the race today. Meanwhile, whilst it's all kicking off towards the back of the field, at the very front of the field, meanwhile, things are settling down quite nicely here and building up over time. I think we've got the lead of the field on the slow cooker here, but as soon as I say that, the heat's turned up to maximum because Salomon there cuts out wide coming out of Villeneuve. That picks up a slowdown and he burns it by running deep at toast intentionally. That means Adrian Ruhr now leads the race ahead of Giorgio Saggio, the British driver who's still staying behind them. Next, 2.5 seconds back here to Amel Kikanovic ahead of Michael Martins and Josef Kurz. And right now we can see the Austrian and German drivers here pushing themselves onwards as they come down through the left-hand at turn number 8 and getting ready for Aqua Minerali once again, with Tom Blandino catching up to them quite quickly. And then we do have Common Mihai ahead of Christian Carlson and Brandon Villegas, the Colombian driver here. Well, he's got a bit of pressure on him because that's Damian Makhmutov all over the back of him. We look back from the rear then of your number 22 car. Remember, he started 16th and he's made a great run this race so far. And heading over the hill, we do say hello there to Real Bottle Job. There's a lot of Italian passion in these drivers. Indeed, Italy is known to have some of the most passionate motorsports fans in the world. Of course, Italy being the home of the Tifosi, as that's going to be home there. So what would be an early mistake from Damian Makhmutov. In the end, taking way too much of the second apex curve there at the auto chicane. The rear of the car comes loose on the suspension. And well, these Porsche 992.2 Cup cars, they are known for a much more aggressive suspension. Take those curves very high and sunny, you're going to be hitting those bump stops before you know it. And well, Damian Makhmutov does recover the car, but he loses out to Vinnikov there. And the Finnish driver right now up from 21st to 11th. And Vinnikov, all he's had to do is stay out of trouble and make sure he sees the opportunities. Now down that start-finish straight they go, and as they do, Daniel Sanchez a little bit further back here. He wants to play a starring role in this, but I think he's going to have to wait his turn just that little bit longer. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we need to take a look back at some of the big moments from the very start of this race. We are going to get to them very shortly, as we do look here to Janos Spitzel looking up the inside of what will be Janis Hahn. And here he comes into the braking zone here, all on the inside. And well, this is going to be as straightforward as they come when it comes to a move at Tamburello. And well, Hahn did try to fight it, but unfortunately could not hang it to the inside of turn number 3. And now here comes Peyton Long, looking for a move around the outside as well. He's going to go outside to inside into Villeneuve. This is a much more difficult pass to make, but if Long can do it, he will. He's going to go in on the brakes there, goes up on the 2 wheels for a brief moment. They go door to door. It's going to be 3 wide here. My good lord, surely not. And in the end, well, you can see Trinkleback back it out, but as they come through a left-hander, Janis Hahn defending that inside line. It's a lovely bit of defensive work, and Trinkleback right now on the back of these two. We ride on board here with your 19th place driver, and well, those replays will have to wait because the live race is more important. And as they come down in towards what will be the left-hander right now, it's going to be understandable. Piratella's not going to open up a door here unless Trinkleback could go for a switchback. In fact, Ronnie's going to go for it. My goodness, that is a feint and a half there, and in the end, Long does not fall for it. I think Trinkleback, if he'd been a little bit closer, he would have gone full send on that, and in the end, he decides not to. I think a good idea not to be fair. Otherwise, I think he would have been absolutely hammering the anti-lock braking system. But understandably, right now, your number 4 driver here, he wants to get inside that top 10, and every lap he spends behind this, he is losing time hand over fist as everyone continues to push on. As we leave the onboard here for a brief moment, we do take a look back in time after what will be the run of Ravazza here, because we can see all 3 drivers coming on down, and in the end, no change between them, but it's back in time to go to that race start. So what exactly did we see at the start of the race? We saw it go a bit wrong for Daniel Sanchez and Elias Fanoli in particular. Fanoli being at the centre of it, and it looks as though there was a small tap there with the number 14. That would have been the car of none other than what I believe was Michael Martins that sent him on round in that sequence of corners. But we also did have going off the road there your number 4 of Eric Trinkleback. What exactly happened to him? And here's the perspective of his car going out. So he made his way through. He was battling for second place, made his way through turn number 3, contacted the car side by side, and in the end, everyone tried to take evasive action, and that's what also sent there. What was another car off the road? That was the car of, I believe, Janos Spitzel being sent away. So understandably, that's why these drivers have not been too impressed with the way the race has started. That's how it went for them. Then we did have this for Michael Frey a bit later on. This was coming in towards, well, in fact, this was also at the Tamburello chicane, and contact there with Sanchez just turning him sideways on 2 wheels. Well, Frey there in the worst possible place to be tapped, to be fair to him. We then had this on lap number 3. this was the big incident, was the auto chicane, which started with John Bailiff battling with Tang Mai. And as they made their way into the braking zone, Bailiff on the inside here, he thought he could go for it. Mai said, no, you don't. And in the end, the two of them said, okay, we're going together then. And Elias Finoli in the wrong place at the right time. And the number 11 there of Peyton Long having to be used as a bit of a bulldozer in order to get through the seat of the incident without being collected into the barrier as well. We have this for Yavor Kotsov. What was a bit later on in the lap, this was down at the Ravazza bend, and in the end elbowed out once and trickled back there. I think paying him back for what happened earlier on in the race when the two went side by side. Definitely a behaviour I think that both drivers will be looking back afterwards and thinking, did we really need to race that hard with each other early on in the 15-lap race? But still, at the heat of the moment, they do it. We all see the red every so often, and it went a bit wrong for them as we come back to your live racing. So back we come then, as we do. We get the scenic view for a brief moment, not quite sure why, but we come back here, and indeed we go from the scenes and the sights to plenty of racing. And as we come back to the front, well, we do see Adrian Röhr, your leader, your number one driver. He was not your pole man, he was your full place starter, and right now he's under pressure from Salomon and also Giorgio Saggio. The top three still together here, and then we do have Kikanovic being pushed forward by Marco Martins, with Josef Kurz and Tom Landino catching up to the back of this pair. So this could get very interesting, as we do see Martins there run very wide. He will pack up an off track for that. The Imola Circuit is very particular with its off tracks, whereby the track limit police are very strict here. And into the braking zone we go, and it's going to be a look up the inside there for Martins, and it's going to be a move on Kikanovic, who in the end is given a slight nudge wide. And let's open up the door here. Here comes Josef Kurz going up the inside, well, around the outside we should really say, and Tom Landino meanwhile not quite close enough to make it what was a 3-for-1 special. It was only a 2-for-1 offer today at the supermarket at Imola, and in the end, well, Martins and Kurz were able to capitalise on it, but not so Landino. He's going to be looking for the next sale on this one. But coming in towards the auto chicane behind, we see Mihai and Carlson getting ready to get involved, and then we do have Brandon Villegas, who right now with a slowdown penalty that he served throughout Minerali, he has dropped back in his 10th place spot, and he has now got Sergei Vinnikov closing up behind him in the number 17. So Vinnikov continues to push forward and chasing down the top 10 spot here. He may just do it with over half the race remaining. But back to the front of the field we go, and as we do, we look back from the rear of your race leader. And Adrian Röhr here getting ready to have to defend. Now, what will Salomon do here? The Dane will look one way, then the other. And in the end, he's going to look round the outside. Onto the brakes, they both go. Meanwhile, Saggio just watching this at a distance. He can't really get involved. It's going to be around the outside to the inside of Tamburello. And Gabriel Salomon does that absolutely perfectly. But back on board we go here now, because we are on board with Röhr looking forward this time. And he's all over the back of Salomon here. And meanwhile, Saggio is so close behind. He's only 2 tenths behind them as they make their way through Villeneuve. And into a line formation they go, these three. But now, will Röhr be able to look up the inside in towards Tosa Bend? The answer is no. And well, no rain in sight at the moment. We've got a lot of cloud over the circuit, however. Will any rain fall? Everyone is on dry tyres, I've been reliably informed. So everyone right now keeping things nice and slick, as we have had a bit of change further down the order. And in fact, I believe Christian Carlson's fallen down. Hold up, who's that's gone around? That is Emil Kikanovic, who's gone for a spin at Tosa Bend. He's been escorted on that, what is that journey, I suspect. And how exactly he's been made to go that way, we'll find out very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, because we will get a replay of it, but not what you expect to see for the number 8 driver, who was fighting for a spot inside the top 5. But as we do leave him be for a brief moment, we do see Kerman Mihai making his way for Aquinarali, with Christian Carlson closing up behind. And well, I think their RP Corp definitely summarised it very nicely there in 4 words: chaos of a field race. Indeed, it's a strength of field race, but it's full of chaos right now. But we are seeing some happy chaos here, as well as some crazy chaos earlier on. But there's many ways you could describe the battling here, and well, I get the feeling we're going to see some absolutely incredible battling towards the end of this one, because right now Gabriel Salomon, despite passing Adrian Röhr on the start of this lap, well, right now he's not been able to drop the number 1 driver. And I do wonder whether Salomon's perhaps got the pace, but the problem is he hasn't got the ability to break away. He'll need Adrian Röhr to really make a mistake. But what's very interesting down the straight, you'll notice how close to the wall Salomon has gone there on the round across line at turn number 17. The idea being here, what he's worried about is that Röhr's going to try and go around the outside of what will be Tamburello. He does not want to give Röhr any opportunity to squeeze around there, because I think he feels though he'll be vulnerable coming in towards turn number 3. Saggio, meanwhile, still staying on the back of them, and it is 6.5 seconds back before you do get to your next pairing of Michael Martins and Josef Kurz. Martins did get ahead, but right now the Light McQueen machine has definitely made some steady progress in making sure that Kurz can't come back at him, with Tom Blandio meanwhile ahead of what will be Kerman Mihai and Christian Carlson, as we do see the 2 behind now starting to square off against each other, rather than focusing on the Altitude 3M car that is gradually pulling off into the distance. Further back from them, Alice Plaver again being robbed in daylight. We saw this right at the start. Right now, the Nesquik machine has been absolutely mugged as Milo Matmuto tries to go up the inside there of what is going to be the Racing Point machine of Miller Hefov. And in the end, it's not going to work out. Matmutov right now falling back into the clutch of the Plaver and Sanchez. Sanchez looking up the inside here in towards Piratella. He backs off a little bit, but he goes all in again. He decides to throw the car up the inside in the black and red machine. The red rims there definitely standing out proud as they come down into the hill for Alex Akmanarali. Well, right now you can see there, Plaver so close, but Alice Plaver, if there was an award for a driver who's definitely been bullied down the order in this race, he would be getting it, because we have seen him now relegated down a couple more places again. And well, by my mathematics, that is the best part now of 7 places we have seen Alice Plaver just simply lose to the fact he's been in the wrong place at the right time for everybody to say, well, don't mind if I do, Alice. But meanwhile, as they make the way down towards Ravazza, we take a look back at what happened to Amel Kikanovic. So this was your number 8 driver chasing after Tom Blandino at the time. Blandino went defensive here into the Tosa hairpin, and as they came on in, taps the rear of the car in front. That sends them around there, and that is just the natural reaction force of the car, hitting a slower object in front, and in the end having to decelerate more rapidly than expected, and that's unfortunate there. But in the end, well, he'll only be able to blame himself for that one by just carrying a bit too much speed behind a car that wasn't carrying as much speed as him. As much as you could always say when you're in a position, well, why was the guy in front of me slower? At the end of the day, they are not rolling chicanes. They are doing what they can in the race, and the idea being that essentially you've got to respect the fact that not everyone's going to be as quick as you at certain points on the lap. That is one of the hardest parts of being a racer, to be fair, as Yana spits on me while coming through. Oh my good lord, what on earth's happened here? That's Darren Matmutov who's got it around, and with him is that Peyton Long. I think Long should have to tow to the pits. Oh my good lord, as that's going to be Elias Finoli having to take to the grass there to escape what is the returning car, the number 19 of Matmutov, and it's all gone to bits and tears there. Matmutov's got to go to the pits. That car is broken. There is no way that's carrying on there. No wonder it's been shown a meatball flag. The suspension has collapsed at the front and rear, so that means Matmutov's out of this race. So is Peyton Long. I'll have to understand what's going to happen. I think we all need an understanding of what's happened there. We've still got a third of the race to go come the end of this lap. Indeed, right now Imola is definitely delivering, and well, as we do see Gabriel Sullivan right now hold on versus Robert and Saggio, well, it's going to be more to come before it's all said and done, as we've had that's certainly all to chicane, and that is number 10 of Blandino going on around. So how exactly has that happened? He's only lost a load of place. He was running 6th place, was Tom, and now your number 10 try here is going to be mugged even more, because we will see Vidikov pick up the pace, go up the inside of him there into turn number 13. Does Blandino come back up the inside of him? The answer is no. And Kikanovic right now and Brandon Villegas, they're all queuing up behind here. They're all now thinking, can we try and take some places with the blue and green machine? And Vidikov will be hoping that he's able to steer clear of this. But I wonder if Sergei Vidikov at this point will be looking in his rearview mirror and thinking, okay, I've got ahead. Now what exactly do I do? Because here comes Blandino looking one way then the other. He's going to look round the outside. Here we're going to the brains over Tamburello. And as they get onto the brakes, well, in the end, Vidikov's not going to back out. He's going to go as late as he can. There's contact to the back of Blandino's car, and that is Kikanovic turning him. And then Villegas is going to close up to the back of this very quickly, but Blandino will rejoin. And when he does, he's gone spinning on the round. That sends him all the way back to 14th, down to 15th now, down to 16th, because that's free, and Spitzel coming on through. And boy, it's definitely been a very frustrating race for these drivers. It's all gone backwards before it's going forwards once again. But I'm not going to talk about that for much longer, because we need to talk about this. This is coming behind versus Christian Carlson. Carlson going around the outside here towards Piratella. He's going to do it. He's going to go in, and in the end, does he get it within track limits? The answer is yes, he does, just about as Christian Carlson. So he will take that 6th place, and coming behind falls backwards into 7th, albeit they're having to really go all in for it. Meanwhile, Michael Martins versus Josef Kurz. These two are still nose to tail, and whilst Kurz could look for the move into the auto chicane, he decides not to. I think right now Josef Kurz is thinking we're on lap 11 of 15, not on lap 14 of 15. Therefore, I don't need to do it now, because if we start fighting, they've only got a 3.5 second gap to the two drivers behind, and you could briefly see the headlights of in the rear of that camera shot before they come down into Ravazza left-hander. As they make the way onwards, we take a look back in time quickly to what exactly happened to Darren Matmutov and Peyton Long. So this was the pair making the way in towards turns 2, 3 and 4. Matmutov made his way onto the curve, come crashing down on suspension, and well, it was his own volition, and in the end several drivers being caught up in it, including Peyton Long, including there as well was Daniel Sanchez. Alice Plaver, oh my good lord, and Peyton Long in the end comes just streaming into the scene of the instant. This was the on-board for him in number 11, and well, he's not going to see anything initially, and he'll see something off in the distance and see some smoke and think, okay, and then suddenly there's Matmutov's car, and at that point Peyton Long's got no time to react. If there was a yellow flag, he would not have been been able to respond to it through turn number 3 without spinning the car potentially, because he would have been under weight transfer then. And well, for Peyton, he had to roll with the dice, and unfortunately he rolled a 1. Meanwhile, Tom Blandino, this is what happened to him at the auto chicane. He was by himself. Did he make a mistake of his own vision? Yes, he did. My goodness, that was all 4 wheels into the air there. And the number 10 car just going on the round after coming back down to earth. Not the way he wanted it to go whatsoever. We go back to your live racing. And as we do on lap 12 of 15 now, we haven't got many more to go. And here is Eric Trenkelbach getting ahead of Lewis Müller-Herfaf. And Trenkelbach, of course, your number 4 driver who started third, got sent all the way down the order. And he's made his way back into 10th here. But now we do see the Racing Point machine trying to come back. And the BWT sponsor machine right now on the attack here. But I wonder whether for Lewis Müller-Herfaf, this is just what is a last gasp at trying to come back before Trenkelbach tries to break away. A bit further back here, coming in towards that Minerale, Brandon Malegas and Janos Spitzel together. And well, right now we know that Janos Spitzel has a lot of pace in the car. He started 6th, and I think he had the pace to be on pole. However, as they make their way down the stretch and in towards that braking zone, no can do is going to be the problem here, because if he fights with Villegas, he's going to have Blandino right with him. But meanwhile, we look all the way back to the front of the field as we say hello to Zach Haight there, who has previously been on the grid for these strength field races, particularly in the 2025 Season 4 campaign. And I hope you're doing well, Zach, and saying, I should have done this one. And well, good evening to you, Zach, and glad to see you in the chat. We need you back on the grid. Where have you been, good sir? But I hope all has been well with yourself going into 2026. As meanwhile, there is a swap of places. Kurz has waited until lap 13, and he goes there on Michael Martins, and what a way to do it as well. Stopping Martins from getting any counter-attack there. Josef Kurz just parking the car right on the exit of turn number 2, doing it fairly, but getting right into the face of Martins and saying to him, where do you think you're going for the cutback? That's not going to happen. And Kurzian just simply stopping Martins from carrying any momentum through that chicane, and now he's got to try and add to that by opening that gap up to about 1.1 seconds. If he does so, he will be safe. If he can't do so, then Michael Martins may come back to him on the final 2 laps and say, right, it's time for me to show you what I can do instead than Lightning McQueen machine. But we'll see where he's going to be able to do so. Further back down the order then, it's all happening at the front as it is at the back, because we do come to Brandon Villegas and Yannis Hahn, and Villegas at one point was knocking on the door of the top 10, and it's all gone very backwards for him. We haven't quite got a replay to explain, but what we can explain right now is as he pulls aside there, he lets Hahn through. So I wonder if there's been a bit of a tail between these two, and therefore Brandon Villegas has let it go. Alternatively, he does look to be in a heavily damaged car. I wonder where he's decided, I just want to get to the end of this race now. There's no point fighting in that number 22. And to be fair, he might be right there just to try and get the car to the end of the race. It does not look healthy. It's healthy enough to carry on racing, but there is a point, of course, where you pick up enough damage on the car. The steering might not be pointing straight, for example. Alternatively, the car may be pulling in one direction, under braking or through the corners, and particularly the front bumper is literally hanging on there by a screw or two. I think right now he doesn't want to pick up any more risk, as otherwise it might be a further screw loose. But coming all the way back to the fourth place fight here as we go on to the penultimate lap. It's Josef Kurz versus Martins. Down the start of the straight they go. And well, will there be a move here for Michael Martins? The answer is no. He's keeping the pressure on. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, 3/10 is the gap between Gabriel Salomon and Adrian Ruhr. Ruhr, of course, was leading the race for a little bit until Salomon got back ahead of him in the run through the opening couple of quarters, back on what was lap number 11. But right now, these two definitely as close as the battle for fourth is. So therefore, it could all happen at any brief moment. As meanwhile, Elias Finoli has just passed what is Brandon Villegas, and so has Yavor Katsov. And I do believe we are going to see Villegas drop down to 20th place soon as Tang Mai is closing quickly. But that will happen off camera. Meanwhile, we stay transfixed to what's happening on camera here, and it is that battle for the lead as they make the way up to the auto chicane. And on the rise they go, plenty of direction transfer in these cars, and they're going to manage that weight transfer and being able to bury the throttle, really getting used to the fact you need to keep the rear of the car pinned as much as you can. And once they come through the auto chicane there, we can see both drivers, the concertina effect plain to see. Adrian Ruhr getting closer and emerging away, but that gap staying at a very steady 3/10 as they come down towards Rat. So for the 14th time, the next time around, it will be the last time. And will the battling will end there, or will it be a drag race all the way to the finish line? We will see. Because here we go, ladies and gentlemen, out of that corner they come, and through the kinks of 16 and 17. Lap number 15 is around the corner, 15 and 15. The white flag is out. It's time for the final lap here today at Imola, and right now, will it be Gabriel Salomon from Denmark who holds on for victory, or will it be the German driver here, Adrian Ruhr, who is able to surpass him? Well, here they go in towards Tamburello, 2 attempts is the gap, and right now, Ruhr's not able to find a way through. Giorgio Saggio is in third. The British driver there not quite close enough to get involved. Further back, we take a quick look at the fight for fourth, and in good time, because this is Kurz versus Martins, and it is going to Michael Martins on the inside here in the Lightning McQueen machine. On to what would be Tamburello, and Kerr's got the place previously, but Martins shows him what he can do in return. He takes too much curb, and he catches the car, but for Josef Kurz, that's not the way to do it. He's going to lose out. Meanwhile, back to the very lead as we go. Salomon versus what is Ruhr right now, and Ruhr's so close here as they make the way out the hill. 2 tenths. This is the closest you can be in the run towards Piratella. We ride on board with the second place man here. He's going to look around the outside, get Salomon to go defensive in the middle of the road. Through left-hander they go. No rain at the moment. The cloud is definitely thickening here right now, so they'll be grateful to finish this race before a raindrop arrives. And down in towards Acqua Minerale. Well, now it's all going to be about not making a single mistake and getting the best possible exit, which Salomon does so. Ruhr does the same. 3 tenths is the gap. It is not getting any closer right now. They are equidistant as they get ready to go in towards the Alta chicane. And we'll bounce over these curves. They've done them 14 times perfectly. Can they do them a 15th time perfectly? The answer is yes. Although Adrian Ruhr there goes a little bit wide. That's going to cost him some time as they come down the hill. I think this is going the way of Gabriel Salomon unless he makes a mistake out of braking here. But right now, has he made a mistake so far this race? Not really. And your number 12 driver takes a lot of apex curb. It does push him slightly out wide, but it opens up the final corner. And here we go. It's a drag race to line with 3 attempts in it. I think right now Gabriel Salomon may have this because he comes on through, and for what will be your number 12 driver, it is going to be victory here at Imola for Gabriel Salomon ahead of Adrian Ruhr, and then it will be Giorgio Saggio who finishes off the podium just ahead of what will be Michael Martins, who in the end, in the battle for 4th place, he proves himself to be the superior of Josef Kurz, and they will complete your top 5, and then it will be Christian Karlsson in a lonely 6th for Sim Racing Norway ahead of Colin Mihai, who did well to take 7th. Then we'll have Sergei Vinikov, who came all the way from 21st through to 8th, just over Amel Kokanovic. And then we'll have Eric Trenkelbach, who recovered well to a 10th place finish in his number 4 machine, ahead of Luis Mueller-Herfav, who takes best of rest on 11th. Then it's Daniel Sanchez, Michael Frey, and Tom Blandinho, with Janos Spitzel in 15th, ahead of Yannis Hahn, Elias Finoli, who had a very frustrating race after starting all the way up in 7th place. And then we will see Brandon Villegas ahead of John Bailiff, who rounds off the top 20 after a good start to his race. That contact between himself and Tang Mai at the Alta chicane really scuppering what chance he had of a top 15. And then we will see Javor Kotsov ahead of Alex Pleva. And you've got to feel for Pleva, 22nd today, and how it all started for him. I think after the first couple of laps, the next quick driver must have been thinking to himself, why exactly is it all not going my way? And well, definitely an answer today that I don't even have an answer for, ladies and gentlemen, as I try to cool on down. And well, let's take a look at those race results, subject to any stewards' inquiries. And as we can see, after an absolutely brilliant 15 laps of racing here in the Imola Circuit in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, Gabriel Salomon was your winner in the end from Denmark by 2 attempts at the finish line over Adrian Ruhr. The German driver in the number 1 could not quite live up to his door number today and had to settle for 2nd. But credit where it's due, he started 4th. He found his way through to the podium. Giorgio Saggio in the number 6, the British driver. He really was the 3rd fastest and best today, and he proved that with a 3rd place, ahead of Michael Martins, who spent the entire race. The 2 Austrian drivers, I should apologise there because I did refer to one of them as German earlier. The 2 Austrian drivers of the same country fighting all the way from lap number 3 all the way to the finish, but it was the Lightning McQueen machine in the number 14 of Martins who was able to get the upper hand of Josef Kurz. But the number 23 driver, he'll be absolutely proud of that result because that will be a huge iRating gain, giving us one of the lowest rated drivers in this split. Christian Karlsson took 6th place there, the number 7 driver, moving steadily forward from what was an 18th place start to a 6th place. So Karlsson really going under the radar today, avoiding all the chaos and also making sure he didn't have too much action to play around with. And 2 seconds behind him was Coleman Mihai. The remaining drivers then followed up by Sergei Vinikov, who started 21st and finished 8th. Well done to him in the number 17. The Flying Finn ahead of the Austrian of Amel Kikanovic. And what a frustrated day today for the number 8 driver, when he was, of course, potentially for a top 5 in the early stages, but a mid-race incident sent him all the way down. He made his way back to 9th. The same can be said for Eric Trinkelbach, who in the end, 4 was the door number on the car, but it was not the place he finished in. He finished instead in 10th place, and not the race he wanted whatsoever after starting in 3rd. Luis Mueller-Herfav rounded off the run to the best of the rest in 11th. The German driver just ahead of the Spaniard Daniel Sanchez, and Michael Frey, Tom Blandini, and Janos Spitzel completing your top 15. And in 16th place, it was Yannis Hahn ahead of Elias Finoli, the ice-cold racing powered by Max Sim Racing driver. And what a story his race was. Nothing went right at the start, and you could say nothing went right all the way through. He got caught up in every instant imaginable. Tang Mai finished in 18th, the American driver, ahead of Brandon Villegas, with John Bailiff round off the top 20 for winning Opinit Racing. And outside that top 20 was Javor Kostov ahead of Alex Pleva. And then it was retirements early on in the race for Damian Makhmutov and Peyton Long after their huge shunt at the exit of Tamburello. So 24 starters, 22 finishers, ladies and gentlemen, and what an exciting race we've had here today. And I can tell you one thing, if all the races are like that for the remainder of the season, we're all going to be absolutely breathless before we get to the Season 2 campaign of 2026. But as our circuit falls silent, there's just enough time to bring you a word about our title sponsor for this series, and that of course is none other than CONSPIT. If you are looking to take your sim racing to the next level, then why not consider CONSPIT? As the pro driver's choice of sim racing hardware, CONSPIT offers one of the most comprehensive lines of hardware products to sim racers around the world. Whether you're in the market for wheelbases, steering wheels, pedals, peripherals, or rigs, CONSPIT's extensive experience in the motorsport industry means every one of their products is fine-tuned for success at the highest level. But do not just take our word for it. We're brand ambassadors including 2022 Grand Prix Macau GT Cup champion Luo Kaliu, 2022 Porsche Carrera Cup Asia champion Liu Ye, 2022 Chinese Touring Car Championship champion Rodolfo Avila, and 2023 GT World Challenge Asia GT3 Cup champions Climax Racing. You shall be in pole position for victory when you invest in CONSPIT's hardware. If you'd like to know more, be sure to head to conspit.com today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our time in Italy. But fret not, we don't conclude our time of racing at epic venues. And next time out, we go to America's premier racing venue. It is none other than the Daytona International Speedway in Florida for week 9 of 12 in the iRacing official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. And you can catch all of our strength-filled racing action from our regular Saturday slot on Saturday the 14th of February 2026. Imola has proven that sometimes it's about staying out of trouble and being smart. That's all about taking victory. But at Daytona, it's all going to be about being the smartest with the draft and the bravest under braking into the hairpins. But who exactly will show themselves off in the Slipstream Fest in the US of A in a week's time? We'll tune in then to find out. But until then, we've been the iRacing Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. I've been your host and commentator, Paul Walsh. You've been tuning into a Paul Walsh production. And until next time, remember, as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.